Look at that thing of beauty. Guys, what is happening? So this is going to be my walk around video of my 1998 Triumph T595, but don't let that chassis designation fool you, boys. That is a 955cc triple. But this video is really more to chronicle everything that's been done to the bike so far to get her back on the road. She is running better than ever, and I cannot tell you guys just how happy it has made me to reconnect with this bike, and so far the fun that I have been having with this thing. So let's jump in the middle of this. But before I get too deep, I want to send a huge shout out to Juan, Pedro, and Kat over at Triumph of Houston. These guys went above and beyond to help me get this girl back on the road. One, excellent customer support. The guy jumped through hoops. Best customer service I've ever had working in a motorcycle shop. Pedro, the guy is unbelievably meticulous. One of the best techs I'd ever worked with. Man after my own heart. The guy takes little details to heart and takes them seriously too. So my man, couldn't have asked for a better tech on this. And Catherine, thank you for all the follow up and catch up. I truly appreciate it. So guys, with that, let's jump into this bike because I'm super excited to talk to you guys about it. But again, Triumph of Houston, thank y'all so much. Team, you did great. Okay, guys, so while she was in for her spa date, Pirelli, Diablo, Rosso 3s went on this bike. Yeah, it's got a little bit of a chicken strip. I'm not banging on ramps and off ramps with this thing. Certainly not hitting any track days with it, at least not yet. This bike really is more of a street bike in my eyes, and I wanted a tire that represented that same type of a philosophy. Great tire, good in wet weather. I've already found that out on accident. But I did go with a 190/50 as opposed to the tire I normally would go with a sport bike would be a 180/55. Since this bike is going to spend most of its time on the street, I wanted something that would be a little bit more stable, and that is what that 190 does for this bike. A 180 would make it a bit more flickable, but I just didn't feel like it suited the personality of this bike. So I went with the stock size of 190, and I am really happy that I did. One of the main reasons why I took the bike in was to have the forks rebuilt. And let me tell you something, Pedro did an unbelievable job on this. Did some polishing on the tubes, rebuilt the forks. Guy did an amazing job, set this bike up. Could not be any happier with the way that this bike rides, and happy to report leak-free. By the way, fun fact. So I had gotten the bike on the road and was riding it, trying to get some fresh gas through it after I had replaced the pump and the filter in the gas tank. Well, on the trip to Triumph of Houston for her little, vacation, the right fork just absolutely exploded, just blasted fork guts and juice all over the side of the bike. So it was pretty interesting. It lasted just long enough to get some street miles under her, get a couple of oil changes through, and then that was it. So anyway, yeah, she definitely needed the work. And again, guys knocked it out of the park. Thank y'all so much. Since the wheels were off anyway, threw a set of new brake pads on the front and the rear. Just stock replacements. Bled the system, all new fluid. Works incredibly well. While she was there, I had picked up a new shock and spring assembly for the rear of this bike. The original one was actually fairly corroded and it needed to be replaced pretty badly. So while she was there and up on the stand, on a new shock and spring assembly went. Oh, another fun fact for you guys that have been keeping up with this build. So yes, more mud dauber nests have fallen out of the bike. In this case though, they actually fell out of the rim. Let me show you something real quick. You're gonna love this. I believe it was out of one of the front wheels anyway, where those holes are in the spokes. Yeah, there was some more mud dauberness in there. Actually made a little bit of a mess on Pedro's machine. So, bro, sorry about that, man. I thought I got him out when I measured the weight up well over 5 pounds, but it looks like we still had a few stragglers. Only if only you knew. If guys, I'm telling you, man, it's been crazy. But yeah, mud daubers. I'm still looking around. Is there any in here? Hope not. I've had all this stuff apart. But yeah, here's another shot of where some of those mud dauber nests were. They were off in here. So anyway, back to it. Okay, guys, so as far as what else has been done to the bike, I did pick up a new master cylinder for the front brake because that old master cylinder that was on the bike had basically, well, it broke. So new master cylinder and new calipers as well. Those older original calipers were starting to leak. I found a bike that was getting parted out, so I was able to get some parts off of that. That's where that shot came from, as well as these new front brakes. Changed the oil a couple of times. First run through was a flush. The second time, well, it's the second oil change. That's the one that's in the bike now. And not that you can see it or tell, but it has had the cooling system flushed. It's got distilled water, some water wetter, and just a little bit of 50/50 diluted antifreeze in it. That actually took a little bit more time than I thought. It did take some time to bleed out, but she is A-okay now. As far as appearance-wise, I have hit it with a polisher, but not too aggressively. Admittedly, I could probably get it a little bit better than what it is, but I just did not hit it that hard, at least not yet. There's a few things that I do want to do there. I did put some work into the triple clamp up top here. This whole assembly was very oxidized, and so what I did is I took some detail sprayer and some red Scotch-Brite and just got after that, and it brightened it up quite a bit. This thing was mottled, discolored the whole bit, so I got most of that off of there. I could stand to spend a little bit more time to get that a little bit cleaner, but it doesn't look too bad to me. One issue that I did run into with the Zeus fasteners was that some of them, at least the ones that were originally down on the bottom part of the cowl, you can see how that one's pretty well pitted, had rusted pretty badly, and I did not want to use an aftermarket fastener. I wanted to use all the original fasteners if possible. And what I decided to do is just let those Zeus fasteners sit in a spray paint cap full of evaporust. And if you're not familiar with evaporust, it's one of these available products that you just pour, you put your parts into, and it gets the rust off. So anyway, it took about 3 days for this product to really get in there and get some of that really heavy caked on rust off of those fasteners. But you know what? It did. And it looks really good. In fact, there was some with just a little bit of surface rust. That evaporust knocked all that off. They look brand new. So anyway, that's how I got the rust off of those fasteners. I was going to try to do it mechanically with a wire brush, and let me tell you, that was not going to happen. So anyway, after about 3 days of soaking, though, they all ended up looking pretty good. And then last but not least, I did decide to go with the stock style indicators. The original indicators were broken, and I did not want to go with a tail tidy or anything like that. I did want to stick with kind of a bit of a stock look, and so that's why she's got stock indicators on her. Actually, I had to get these things from England, if you can believe that. Could not find them in the States. But there's your walk around, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Can't wait to get you guys some more content with the bike. But this, again, is just to chronicle the progress of this bike. Oh, almost forgot one thing. The decal. Bummer. I knew I was forgetting something. Anyway, I've got a replacement set coming. We'll see how well that matches. We'll see how much of a pain this is to get off. But hey, what do you expect? The thing's 25 years old. I mean, can't really complain about that too much, right? Oh yeah, and I can't forget the mirror fix, which by the way, riding the bike, you cannot tell that there's anything goofy or wonky going on. I know the optics look kind of weird, but when you're on the bike and you're underway, it does not matter at all. It works absolutely perfectly. All right, so now I think that pretty much wraps everything up. I want to give another huge shout out to Triumph of Houston. Guys, y'all did an amazing job. Thank y'all again. And with that, I am going to wrap this up. Post up your comments. Let me know if you've got any questions. And I'll catch you on the next one. Adios.